Hello, my name's Gavin Ritu and welcome back to the Inside Training podcast, proudly sponsored by G4 Claims, an accident management company specialising in providing support to those involved in non-fault accidents. This week, I'm delighted to be joined by our assistant head coach, Sergio Raimundo, a man who's travelled the world working in football, a man who can speak 6 languages, and the man who's been supporting Nick Montgomery since he joined the Central Coast Mariners in 2019. Sergio, thank you so much for joining us. I know it's been very busy since you joined the club, but it's great to sit down with you and chat to you about your career so far. And to start with, I just wanted to ask you about your coaching journey and your first steps into football, if you can remember.
Hello, and hello to all the Hibs. So I started coaching really young. In Portugal, normally when you see we're not going to go a lot through the professional career as a footballer, you start studying really early. And 2 of the biggest references of my university were Jose Mourinho, you all know, and the other one, Carlos Queiroz, that was Ferguson assistant for many years. And we've kind of went through the university pathway, started coaching really early at Benfica youth teams, the competition teams, and ended up 4 years after as an academy assessor at Benfica too, and also under 19 assistant coach.
When was it that you decided? Was it as a kid growing up? When did you decide that you wanted to be a football coach?
Of course, look, as a kid, my mother has all my drawings. I don't know why she kept them, because they're not very nice, but she did keep them. And look, everything I used to draw was football, games. But I have to be honest with you. There was a moment into my life where I felt a bit away from the game. I felt first I was very good in many sports. I used to do also athletics at the highest level, 400 meters, which is pretty tough. It was a great challenge. And while training football, sometimes I didn't felt some things were fair. I didn't felt also a big pleasure to train. Maybe I didn't got the best experiences. And I always thought there's something you can do better. You know, when you love to play football in the streets with your friends, you like the game itself. And sometimes going to the competition world, some things you can keep that love, or it can be taken away from you if it's not driven on the right way. And I think that's what later made me go back to the game and think, now I can be a difference here, can make people enjoy the game, enjoy training, love what they do. I can certainly make a difference as a coach. And as an assistant, I've never thought, honestly, in working to be a manager, but always worked towards being a top assistant coach. Somebody that can unite people, that can speak many languages, communicate with people in their own language, somebody that builds exercises people like to play. And that was what's driven me, to be honest, to then come back in love again with the game and come back to the coaching side, which I enjoyed, honestly, much more than I enjoyed the playing times.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Looking back at your earlier kind of career, I know probably at the start of your coaching career, you spent 3 years at the Navy and Special Forces. Can I just ask about that experience, what that was like and how that kind of came about?
Look, that was maybe the point that made me realize what I really want to be. Because as growing up as a teenager, I wanted to go to the University of Sports, but I found out that I missed the deadlines for prerequisites that they needed. And I didn't have, my parents, they didn't know much how to guide on that. And it's not their fault, it's just the way it is. My professors, maybe they missed the deadlines and I didn't really know what to do. I was kind of lost. I was always a very good student, but I was a bit lost, didn't have that guidance. I needed to find things for myself. And I got into a moment where I couldn't go to uni that year. And I had one neighbor that was special forces. He told me about how hard mentally and physically it was. And I took it more, not that I wanted to go really and get sent into wars, but it was more, wow, what a challenge this may be mentally and physically. And that's when I ended up, I had the long hair at the time. I used to play in rock bands. I know the Proclaimers really well. A band I always loved. And I thought, look, I'm going to go into this. And immediately I shaved my hair to zero. I said, if I'm going to do testing, it has to be proper. So if you're going to do it, so shaved my head, went to the tests, I passed, and ended up being there for 3 years, which it was fantastic because it gave me that test my mental side to the maximum, which it's something that makes you grow as a person and as a competitor, and also test the physical side, and allowed me to see that when you feel you think you're in pain, even relating to the footballers, you think you're in pain. We used to have a saying is you're only 60% into what you're capable of doing. So there's still 40% more to give.
Yeah. So have you taken the kind of the lessons that you learned there, and have you taken that into your coaching career when you're demanding more of the players and you know, that kind of mentality side of things? Has that experience really helped you in your coaching career?
Definitely. It was, I think, not only helped, but it was key. It's key in all the process, and it was in my growing, because I still do my bed. So it's something and it's not only, you think it's only the physical and psychological side, but that relates into life routines. So I like to wake up, do my bed. I like to have some routines that I've kind of learned there. And yes, definitely, when you demand from the players, you know you're testing them, but you're also pushing them to their best physically and mentally. It allows now to be in certain environments. Many people think they may be hostile, and I don't feel it, honestly. Don't feel that hostility maybe others may feel. And on the other hand, it allows you to also push people a bit further, but without breaking. So we have to be careful, because it's football. It's not exactly special forces.
Yeah.
We want to help people, make them grow, but you have to be aware that there's limits, and we need to respect the limits. Make sure everybody is healthy and in good well-being, and then work from there to achieve their peak performance.
3 years in the special forces, and then am I right in thinking that's when you went to university for the coaching thing?
Yes, so
same university as Mourinho.
Exactly.
Said, yeah.
Yeah. So what I've done then was I went immediately after I went to university. So from there, even in my last year, I was planning already in coming back. So I did all those testings that I failed previously.
Yeah.
And then I failed the timings, not the testing, but then I ended up going into, and yes, I've met somebody was very special in my life that unfortunately passed away very young. Still, when we were at uni, he was my best friend, Bruno, at the time, and we always said, he said, you're a very smart guy. I think I'm a great manager, he told me. Mm-hmm. So you're going to be my assistant, and I'm going to be the manager, and we're gonna meet Mourinho because I know him, and we're going to go to Chelsea and have a look at what he's doing. And he kind of said, I said, okay, look, I'll just keep studying and learning as much as I can to help. You know, I always like that technical part, the study behind things, the why are things like they are, because people assume they're like this because they were always like this, but it's if you're going to think like that, you won't have any evolution in time. So you need to understand there's a lot to be taught, a lot to be learned, a lot to be developed, and we're just on the prehistory of modern society almost.
Mm-hmm. So from there, did you then get your first job working in football was that at Benfica within the under?
Yeah, it was straight away. No, it was at Benfica with the younger ones.
Okay.
It was the competition teams of 7s, 8s and 9s. Because again, there was other people in the course. Many were in the youth at Benfica, and I started there. I was there for 3 years, and it was funny because the mindset was, oh, if we're in the younger ranks, we'll never get to the older ranks. And I always said, no, like that comes the mindset maybe from my past experience. No, you can do everything you can. You just need to believe and work for it. And on the 4th year, I ended up being called to be this assessor of the academy director at the time. And I was also invited to be under 19 assistant coach. Because my mentor, he was Manuel Sergio. He actually was same as Jose Mourinho, if you read about it. And Manuel, he went to the professional football, and he brought me into that youth football. Was elite youth, was 15s, 17s, 19s, to be the assessor of the academy director. At the time, there was no 23s, no reserve grades, so the second team after the professional was the 19s.
Yeah. And within that team, am I right in thinking there was some really top players within it, Bernardo Silva, João Cancelo as well. As a coach, can you spot talent like that? Can you immediately think, look, I'm looking at that player and they're going to go to the highest level, or sometimes is it a bit about luck, or is it a kind of combination of both?
There's a bit of everything. Like there's what actually happens is there's a bit of luck, because many were to leave the process and then they kind of kept going, and the story of the military, honestly, you can apply to life, is you keep going, you work hard, you resist to all the adversity, and in the end you end up achieving something. And even if you don't achieve what you expected, you still achieve something. And but yes, I was always good spotting talent. While I was working in the youth, I was always working with the scouting too, spotting players. But at the moment when you go to a team like that, we had an under-19 team that was fantastic, was fabulous. Miguel was the goalkeeper coach too at the time. So when the season started, there was Ederson Moraes in goal, José Sá, that is now in Wolverhampton, in goals. There was João Cancelo as a fullback. There was Fábio Cardoso, centre back of Porto. There was Bernardo Silva, João Cancelo, André Gomes, plays for Everton, Ivan Cavaleiro, Fulham, Elder Costa, Leeds. So, but it wasn't us spotting that talent. That talent was already coming through the academy. And I'm going to be very honest with you. It was my 4th year as a coach, and I've learned more with the players at that time than what they've learned from me. I honestly learned more with Bernard, with Elder, with Cancelo, on how they behave, how they accept people in the group, how they don't accept coaches, how they accept coaches, how they don't accept other players, and certain values and certain attitudes. I've learned that more from them than I really pass it to them, honestly.
It seems like that you obviously learned a lot then at your time at Benfica. What was the decision then to move, and you went to travel the world coaching in Senegal, Brazil, Canada, Austria? What was the reason behind that?
Again, it was mentality, because it was again out of the comfort zone. Our psychologist, one psychologist I worked with, he always said, be comfortable being uncomfortable. And again, at the time, they created the B team, and they asked me if I could stay as an assistant for the B team, and it will be easy for me to stay one more year and be in Lisbon, and fantastic club, and watch Champions League every week. But I said no. So what do I want to be? That is top assistant coach. So I wanted to be a top assistant coach. I need to learn languages. I need to know cultures. I need to travel the world. If I stop here, I may stop here the next 15 years, and then what? Mm-hmm. And if I travel the world, I'll network. I'll know languages, cultures, people. I'll grow much more, although it's the hardest way to... And I decided to go on the hardest way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where many will go on the easy, I said, no, let's go on the hardest, because in the end, I'll be more prepared than if I'll just stay here.
Definitely. And whereas each of those experiences then, were they all kind of just totally different to the next, if you know what I mean?
Yes,
totally different culture, different language, like you said.
Yes, different but equal, because what you learn is you have to adapt. if you go to different cultures and you try to implement yours without adapting, you risk to fail. But if you adapt to people, to cultures, if you understand the mindset, and if you work it, then it will be okay. And what this experience taught me was, although people is all different, if you think they may have a different mindset, but that's it, basically. We're all human. If you watch a football game all over the world, everybody wants to win. Nobody ever told me, I want to lose the game. Or not in normal conditions, everybody wants to win. Either some want to win having more possession, some more being more direct, some marking man-to-man, some marking zone, some mixed, so there's different ways people perceive there is the correct to get there, but there's different types of football that vary with the culture. In the end, everybody wants to win. So your end goal has to be win. How do you get to win? There's several ways to do it, and you've kind of gave me freedom also to try. Okay, let's try. Let's see if it works there. Let's see in here, and then you start to adapting and trying, and you grow up so much more than just staying on the same culture every time and doing the same things and believing the same things are true. That make no sense at all if you go to another country.
What was your favorite out of the experiences, or were they all different? And you had like...
Yeah, it's all. My favorite thing was actually not only the football, but the adapting with the family to the culture, knowing different people. Actually, something simple like making friends for life. That was the main thing. And then in terms of technicality, you learn that the Senegalese players, they worked really hard. They're physically very strong. The Brazilians, they prefer to meg somebody twice than scoring a goal. Yeah. Maybe now the Scottish, they'll clap more a tackle than a meg, which in Brazil, tackle, it's horrible. You don't tackle, can't do that. Oh, that's very ugly. So you kind of get there and say, okay, it's different way of seeing, and kind of give people what they want to see, but also make something that's going to be an impact in that country, and win. You have to win.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about Australia then, and well, first of all, how you first met Nick Montgomery. I believe it was in a coaching course in Belfast, and then from meeting him, did you instantly kind of click like that, or was there just something about his personality that you both got on really well? How did that come about?
Yeah, so we've met on the coaching course UFA in Belfast, don't remember, in 2015 or 16. And yeah, we immediately clicked as on the human side and the values. So I saw he's a real family man. He's a good person. He worries with people. He has this management. It's I call it gift, but I don't like to say it because I don't like to say somebody else was born with it. But he definitely went through his career as a captain and as a family man, and he developed those skills through his life. And he was somebody I said, wow, this guy as a manager, he will be fantastic because he cares, he's honest, he's hard worker, he wants to learn, he values people, and I immediately saw on him a great manager. I said, okay, because I'm going to be honest, I prefer to be without a job or doing trading or building houses than working with somebody I wouldn't like to work with. Yeah. Uh-huh. And immediately when you say, you work for him, and you have the pleasure of getting out there and put everything you have to make him feel well and to help him and to go through a journey together.
So, and he brought you to Central Coast Mariners in Australia within the academy setup. Was that, as you just kind of alluded to there, was that a very easy decision to make to go and join him?
Yes, it was easy. It was very easy because, again, it's one of maybe 2-3 people I know I would work with. And once he said it, I said, okay, this is the time. Because I told my wife at the time, we were actually in Canada, and she said, please, we've traveled 5 countries already. Can we stay here for a while? I say, yeah, no worries. Unless something comes very different. And the one country she would like to see was Australia.
Uh-huh.
So when that came, and once that happened, I said, you won't believe something come up from Australia. And Nick, the guy I met in the course, he said, "Oh, okay, but let's see." And then things clicked straight away. And I knew all the way that things will be like they are at the moment.
Yeah.
You just feel it. It's some things you can't really explain with rationality. It's just.
How much did you enjoy that time? Firstly, within the academy at Central Coast Managers, because you totally kind of turned the academy around, didn't you, and went on to have that success?
Yes, 100%. So the club in the past, they had some good players that went to the national team, but at the time they were a bit on a grey area. The past 6 years they were 4 times last place, 2 times before last, so they weren't producing any players. It was quite bad when we arrived, and we actually given a bag of balls, a bit of grass where people used to walk the dogs, and they say, "You guys sort it out," and we did sort it out. We were actually champions under 20s. We were champions with the 23s playing against men in the 3rd Australian division. And from that group of players we've created, many of them, like maybe 10, 12, became full-time pros. And 7, 8 of them ended up winning the cup with us a few years after. So since 2019 till last season where we won the championship, most of those players were academy players that grew with us. And we were the #1 club in AFC and the 17th in the world for academy developed players playing minutes in the first team.
So when you had that success within the academy, Nick Montgomery then obviously got the job as a manager, and obviously wanted his number 2 to join him. Did you know that you were going to have that same success at the first team level?
Yes.
Because of the belief that you'd kind of instilled within the academy. Were you always confident that you were going to go on to have that success? Because the Central Coast Mariners did punch above their weight in that league. There's no doubt about that.
Yes. No, we knew it. It's not only belief, but it's also process. We've put process in places. We put departments in places, sports psychologists, analysis, SNCs, and whatsoever. And on the first year, straight away, we went to the final of the cup for the first time in history. We broke a lot of records. We had the biggest one in the cup ever, 6-0 win, with an average age in that squad was 22 years old, I think, 21 years old. So it was a really young squad beating big squads and with a lot of history. And I knew it would work. It may seem easy now but at the time, if you ask me, I'll tell you the same. Mm-hmm. And I knew it will work, as I know it will work here too.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of your relationship then with Nick, how are you two on the training ground? Is it very much you work together? Is it a kind of good cop, bad cop? How do you two interact with each other?
No, we speak because obviously we have although we have same values, we have different personalities. So I can get better to some types of personalities, and normally more also with the foreign players, maybe from France, from Brazil, from Belgium, from Italy, from Portugal. I can relate really well to how they think, can speak their language too, which helps a lot. And he has another type where he's stronger at. Yeah. So in the end, we've kind of, obviously communication is key. Like we work hard and we're honest with each other, good or bad. We tell each other, you need to be better on this, you need to be better on that. And we tell it each other. That make us develop to better, and always supporting, not pointing the finger, but supporting. And then we kind of, okay, you're better with this guy, can you maybe have a word with him, or you more with that one? And we've kind of complement whatever we're stronger at, depending on the situation. It's not good or bad. It's more okay, you relate better, you relate differently.
Playing to your strengths. So
Exactly, but he's a great manager. Look, he'll be able to manage anybody anyway. But it's all. I think it helps, that cultural part helps to, because you may be misinterpreted if especially the foreign players, because you think, oh, they're not doing well. But the thing is, they were never told not to do it. So, and then when you go, how is that? They're never told. People may think, but no, it's because in that culture they do this more or that more. So you kind of need to teach them, okay, in this culture you're not accepted, we're on this one, we need to follow the rules of Scotland, for example, of whatever we were.
Yeah. So let's talk about the move then from Australia to Scotland. How did that one go down with the wife?
I was lucky again, because she lived for 1 year. She lived for 1 year in Scotland before.
Okay.
So she had the bright idea of coming and learn to speak English in Scotland.
Okay.
So she spent 1 year here in Edinburgh. So she has a couple of friends, and she always told me, even when we were in Australia, we said, "Hi, one day we need to go together to Scotland. So beautiful, in the castles.
Oh, really?
And then the green areas and the islands and this and that." And it was a country, honestly, she always loved a lot, because she spent also a lot of time here. I think at the time she had a couple of pints, and now she won't be able to have as much because we have our little daughter. But yeah, she was okay. She was, after 5 years at least, we spent 5 years there, so she can tell me that we made a drastic move.
Yeah.
So it gave her time. It gives her time also to adapt now mentally, to get ready, and she's ready for the challenge.
And for you, was it when you got the opportunity to come and join a club like Hibs, was that an easy decision to make, to leave Australia, or?
What we say, no brainer.
Yeah.
No brainer. It's a big club. Look, it's a massive club. I think Nick felt it before. He kind of felt it, and it's incredible because he said no to so many clubs, and we didn't know this opportunity will come, but he did mention, if Hibs, you have to get ready, and this was maybe a couple of days before, and I was okay. Even if you go to the North Pole, so no problem, we're ready. But or the South Pole, but he kind of had a feeling, which is something you can't explain. Again, is those things you feel it, and I was ready. Look, it's a massive club. We know the club, know the story, the history. Although people say, they say a lot here that you don't know Scottish football, or the fact is, don't forget you have TV everywhere. I used to commentate with Jason Cummings the Hibs games or Rangers or the Old Firm games. So we always talking about say, oh, did you stay up till we to text each other, oh, how are they doing? So we still watched the games anyway. We knew a lot of teams. We saw how our teams were playing in the championship, and we had a strong belief that we can make an impact.
And I know it's been a really busy time in your first kind of few weeks, but how has that settling in period been, and how much have you enjoyed your time so far here? Yeah,
honestly, didn't need any settling period. Maybe it's from having traveled in the past, but I always felt like home is where you are. So immediately I felt it home. I think the mindset of people is like our mindset, which is hard work, be honest. People want to see that you work hard, you give everything you got, and that's what we're about too. So it ends up being like being at home, honestly.
And when you came into the club, what were your first thoughts? You mentioned obviously it's a big club, but what was your first thoughts on the kind of the group of players as well that you had? Is that something that you were like immediately like, look, we've got a great group here and we can work with them?
Yeah, we saw that before we arrived. Yeah. So when we were studying the team, we said we can work here. Like, there's quality. It's a great group of players, and what they surprised us is that they actually not only great footballers but great people too. And they really bought into it. They want to learn. You think that some of them with 30 years old, or maybe they don't, but yeah, but they do want. They want to get better. They want to learn. That's what the best they do. It doesn't matter how old they are, and this is what these guys do. So we immediately knew that the group was good. They weren't just optimized in a way we think we can optimize them. And but we were very excited straight away. Just from studying him when you arrive was even easier because they're just great guys.
And on the training pitch, then, can you tell us a bit about the elements of training or match preparation that you focus on, or how do yourself, Nick, Dave Gray, and Miguel all work together? Because are some of you more hands-on than others, or is it kind of a mixture?
Look, we all talk a lot, which is important because we have one idea that we want to pass not only in the professional but also in youth. One idea, and try to find out what's the Hibs way. And I think we've been working really well. And then obviously there's different tasks. Dave, he's been another person that has been fantastic since we arrived. A good guy, hard worker. He's the DNA of the club. I still call him, to annoy him, Sir Dave Gray. He doesn't like it, but I say Sir Dave. And because he is a legend, and he has to feel comfortable on it, and he's a fantastic guy too that mixed really well. And we have a very strong group also of staff, not only staff on the pitch but outside of the pitch too. Great club environment, and on the pitch obviously there's different tasks, so they will focus more on some things, Nick on others. Miguel will say something, but nobody listens to him anyway. Look, and everybody has his own strengths, and we kind of try to use the strengths of everybody on the right way. We can't give much to the opponents. We can't tell the secrets.
Yeah. One thing that you touched upon it earlier about speaking languages, and the fans picked up on that as well in one of our videos. They saw that you speaking French or Portuguese to some of the players. Is that a kind of a real benefit? Do you think that you've got that kind of like ability in your locker and you can get messages across onto the pitch?
Yes, I always believe that. That's why I decided, as you told, to go out of the comfort zone and be better at it, because I do believe it makes a big difference. Imagine you grew all your life listening a language, and suddenly somebody is telling you on the language your parents were talking to you or your family. Obviously it has a bigger impact, and maybe you perceive things as they are. And sometimes when you translate, some words get a bit out of context or misinterpreted, or you're not really understanding what's the message. The boys, they speak good English anyway, but I think it gets deeper if you speak at times, not every time. Yeah. If it's a lot of people around and we have a conversation, then we have to meet on the language everybody understands. But if it's on the pitch and it's somebody that's going to have immediate impact, I think sometimes in their own language, they will feel it deeper. Yeah,
because I think people saw clips of you, I think it was shouting at LA, you in one of the games, or giving instructions to Jair or Rocky, and you can tell it does have an impact on the player being able to get that message across.
Yeah, I think that's where Heli had fantastic words after the game, which he came from his heart and from his mind, and said that we're more like a family. And that's a bit what we try to give them some comfort to, because you think that it's only shouting or pushing, but it's also passing confidence and also giving them that safe spots where they can relate to, that is the mother tongue.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned at the Mariners, you talked about you had a goal, you had a vision, you knew what you were going to achieve, and you went on to do it. Do you set yourself those kind of goals at Hibs, and what do you want to achieve during your time here?
Yeah, look, I don't want to talk about goals of the club, because that's very personal and that's very from the club, that's going to be the owner, the CEO, the manager. But we do know where we can get, and we do know what we can do with the squad, with in future, with the style of play we've been implementing and the mindset we can create in the squad, but also in the club. And we know where we want to go, we know where we're going, and we're going to keep going on that direction. I won't tell you much.
Yeah, no, definitely. And my final question was, again, to speak about the Mariners, one of the key philosophies was players in the academy and promoting the young players. We've already seen that here with Rory Whittaker making his debut and becoming the youngest ever player for Hibs to make their debut. I think it was 16 years and 44 days. Is that something more that Hibs fans can expect under yourself?
There's more to come. We'll keep it in secret.
Yeah.
But there's more to come, and obviously that's something we're not investing only time in training the first team and that's it. We're actually investing time in being with the academy coaches, in making sure they have good structures, good organization, and they have good facilities to work on. And we're spending time on them. We're bringing players into training, and there will be more to come for sure. And I think that we think that that's the DNA. That's why our Nick also, he was brought when he in Sheffield United, through the youth system. He was a local boy, so he knows better than anybody what's the feeling of being a local boy playing into the first team.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Sergio, it's been brilliant having you on the podcast and hearing your stories, and we wish you all the best for your time here at Hibs, and thanks again for joining us.
All the best for us. Hibs.